All right, there's your cue.
Let's see the comments.
Oh, all right, you guys. Welcome to RAGIN with. This is episode 29, and we've got a couple of special guests here today from HAZZUM Productions, Rodney Fyke and Tina McElhinney. We're going to play an intro as soon as I find it. There we go. We'll be right back after this with episode 29, RAGIN with. Here we go.
RAGIN.
Howdy, howdy, everybody. While you are tuning in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share it out with your friends. We've got special guests here tonight from HAZZUM Productions. It is Rodney Fyke, Tina McElhinney. I'm probably destroying her last name, but here we go. Let me drop the card here and say, hello, we've got Rodney and we've got eyebrows. What's going on?
How we doing, everybody? And actually, you got
Rodney,
the name dead on.
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, nice. Welcome to the show, you guys. I wasn't sure if we were going to get Tina because she seems to be like the machine behind the workings, while Rodney does all the pretty stuff. She's in the background, kind of coordinating stuff. And so welcome.
Thank you so much. She has told me more than one occasion my job is to sit there and look pretty and draw pictures.
There you go.
So I
I definitely want to talk about that dynamic in a bit, but go ahead and introduce yourselves, you two.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. No. All right. I'm Rodney Fyke. I am the creator, artist, and writer for Pitter Patter. And Roadkill Rampage. What else? Peanut Pudding and Jelly and Unchained. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff. I've been in the industry off and on since the '89. Way back then, I did a independent black and white superhero book called The Superior 7 with my friends from high school. We did 5 issues of that. We actually did about 8 or 9 issues, but only saw 5 issues, saw print. And then I colored comics for other studios for about 7 years. Mm-hmm. And then went and got the dreaded day job when that all kind of ran its course. And then I blew my back out at work and was laid up. And that's when Tina and I kind of met each other at that point, and I couldn't do anything else. So I started drawing again because back in the 90s, I was doing everything but drawing. I was art director, I was a writer, I was background inker, colorist, talent coordinator, all of that stuff. And I left the drawing chores up to everybody else. So I was kind of out of practice. So being bedridden allowed me to, get back into the swing of things as far as art goes. And that's how we kind of got started. We met and go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to ask Tina. So when he says, I want to start drawing and I've got like this comic book thing going on, I mean, what was your reaction?
Well, he said he wanted to write, he wanted to hire an artist. And I said, well, you don't have any money. And so what can you draw? And that was how he got Peanut Pudding and Jelly, because he could draw Peanut Pudding and Jelly. And if you go back and look at the first issues, they're all hand colored in colored pencils because we didn't have the digital equipment that we needed to do it, and we could afford colored pencils. So, so we get a lot of, was that colored with a crayon?
Close.
Colored pencil.
And I've actually had some of the younger kids come up and ask me what filter that I use in Photoshop for that. And I said, it's called It's a color pencil. My hand.
Now, Tina, did Did you know that he could draw when you first met him?
Yeah. When I'd seen some of his stuff. He did a lot of cutesy stuff. He was doing side gig making
scrapbook designs.
Yeah, doing scrapbook designs. So I had seen those things, but no, not where he is today. He's come a long way in those, 11 years?
11 years, yeah.
So
yeah. Got a lot of bad drawings out.
I know that Pitter Patter is kind of is an all ages book. It's geared more towards the youngins, but one of the things that I love to ask our creators is, what was that shit or get off the pot moment when you said, this is what I want to do? I look at Nita, her face, she's like, why, Meredith, why? I'm like, no, I love to get the story.
These are civilized guests, Meredith. We treat them with respect.
We're not.
She doesn't know us, does she?
No, we're really not civilized.
Oh, they're our fucking people.
It was.
Have you read Have you read Roadkill Rampage?
Exactly.
They've got the dark in them too, Nita. They've got the dark in them too.
Yeah.
But when it came time to saying, okay, enough with the pencils, let's invest in the digital stuff. Let's invest in time and effort and getting that out there. What was that moment like for you?
Well, it kind of came out of necessity because he was trying to find a job when his disability was running out, and they gave him the opportunity to go to school to take some Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator classes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was called adult re-education. Since I couldn't go back and do what I was doing, since I could no longer use my body to make a living, which machine shops and construction and stuff like that, they were going to send me to school to re-educate me something that was going to make me economically viable. What do you like? And I said, well, I've done comic books in the past. And they said, well, we have this graphics design program. Would you like to take that? They'll learn you how to do Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And I was like, ooh, that sounds great. So that's where that came in. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, and that's kind of where we started with because I colored digitally in the 90s, but all of that went away when that studio went away.
Right.
So, and what was the program you used back then?
It was a micrographics picture publisher that I used way back when. And Photoshop was really back then. Oh, geez, that was thousands of dollars to get Photoshop.
Yeah. And
we were making decent money, but not enough to justify spending $8,000 or whatever it was back then. So we got what we could, and we used that, and it worked for 7 years. So, can't complain too bad. And then always tried to figure out, I studied Spawn. Brian Haberling was a phenomenal colorist. I studied what he was doing and didn't know anything about layers because a picture publisher didn't have layers. So I was trying to replicate what the image guys were doing with one layer. Here's a fun fact. To this day, I'm left-handed, but to this day, I color digitally with my right hand. I cannot do it with my left hand.
And he colors with a mouse.
And I use a mouse still.
Wow. Wow.
So this beautiful
impressive
banner that you see behind me, behind us, that was all colored by hand with a mouse.
I'm telling you. So like when you find the new tools and stuff like that, you're like this newfangled thing, humbug.
Well, yeah, figuring out, being introduced to layers and figuring out how to use those was a godsend, because you can just throw a layer away, and rather than having to reconstruct everything that you spent. Control Save was my best friend back in the 90s, and it's still my best friend now. But now I don't have to recreate everything that I colored over. So that's awesome.
Yeah, one of the my first experience, and it's been my last experience up until now, I guess. Yeah, first and last experience so far with what is it? Not ink, flatting. And getting the different layers, it's like you're supposed to be working on the foreground, and you realize that you've been working on the background. It's just like, oh, but at least it's not that, like with digital now with those layers. Yeah, that can be a lifesaver, unless you screw up the layers, in which case it's a pain in the butt. Now,
always name your layers.
Yeah, that was. You'd think that was easy, and you'd think that was common sense until you do it and you didn't put in the layers and you didn't name them. Yeah. Now, Rodney, tell us about Buddy and Dude. What was the inspiration behind Pitter Patter?
Let's see. The basement, our studio was in the basement. And when we first got together, I know I was never allowed to have pets growing up. So I was highly allergic to cats and dogs. And Tina has cats. They had a bunch of outside cats at the time. So the cats were very prevalent in the house. And my chest and everything would close up. I had to go get inhalers and antihistamines and all that kind of stuff.
Tried to kill him. My cat.
She tried to kill me with her cats. So when we moved the studio into the basement, my rule was, no, we can't have any cats down here. So I was down here all day long, and I would listen to the cats running around upstairs.
So we have hardwood floors.
We have hardwood floors up there. So
I just saw a cat.
The pitter patter of their feet, saying that I never had pets doesn't mean that I don't love animals, because I love anything that's cute little fluffy animals. I just love them to death. And now I'm fine. I still have to hit an inhaler every night when we're in bed, but my best friend is Sherman.
Yeah, I was looking for him. Producer
the orange guy.
He's right there.
Tabby.
No, come here, buddy. Come here. He's a big white fluffy cat with some orange on him. Come here.
Oh, because I just saw an orange tail a few minutes ago.
This is Producer C.
Oh.
This is Sherm.
Hi, Sherm. What's up, buddy?
Oh my goodness, he likes his cat food.
Yeah, he's
a big boy.
Yeah.
Takes after his daddy.
My mom left and went on a cruise with my sister, and he laid outside the bedroom door and sounded like he was going, Mom.
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't do this for a week, dude. He's got to come in. He was a little tiny kitten, and he attached to Rodney.
Yeah.
So he is not Rodney's cat. So they're every night they're together, and a lot of pitter patter comes from things that Sherman does.
Yeah.
In the second issue, there's a story where Dude is in the sink, and Sherman every night is in the sink, and he has to drink his water. So there's lots of little things from that.
The thing about the water, growing up, I was always told that cats can't stand water. So when Sherman started being big enough to hop in the sink, obviously he wanted water. So I turned the water on, and then I would stop paying attention to him. And then I'd turn around, I'd look at him, and he would have his head like this, and he in water, he would go back and forth like this, so the water would run on the backs of his ears. And I thought it was so adorable, and I was just completely transfixed by it. I stood there for 10 minutes and just watched him, and that's where the story in issue 2 comes from.
Yeah.
So yeah,
oh my gosh, that's funny.
That's the genesis of Pitter Patter. That's where it comes from. And Buddy's the orange cat, and he's kind of he's the Abbott to Dude's Costello. They come from different sides of the track. He's more the streetwise one, so he's more the stern one, the rational one, where Dude is a rescue kitty, and he's just kind of flighty, and when in Rome, does what he does, and he doesn't judge, and he never met a stranger, and he's just that dude. So that's how they came about.
That's awesome. Now, so when it comes to the storytelling and everything like that, do you both play a role in it, or Tina, are you kind of like hands off? No, let me just do like the social media. Let me get the do you do the website? Like what do you?
I don't. Well, sometimes you write the stories together. We actually just wrote a bonus story because we've already started working on issue 3. And we went up to see our friends, the Forneys, that do the podcast with us on Thursdays and Friday nights. And we were driving back and we wrote the story. And the story is kind of based on me because I have this obsession with bikers and Sons of Anarchy. And I'm not allowed to talk to bikers because they will, Rodney says they will hurt me. And so the whole story is about these, the rats who are the bikers, and this gray cat, which we had a cat. I foster cats as well. So sometimes, I mean, sometimes we'll have 8 cats in the house with a litter of kittens. And yeah, so I bet they're short term. I like little.
So you really are trying to kill Rodney too.
Yeah. I got him some good medicine.
I got some good drugs.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times, I mean, he actually he writes the stories. I guess we plot them out together, and then he goes back and writes the dialogue and stuff. But sometimes, I mean, like I came home the one day and he was telling me what he wrote, and I was like, no, that's not, you can't do that. Like, and
that's not what we discussed.
This is not what we discussed, and this is why you can't do it. And, you know, because we've been doing it long enough. In the beginning, it was kind of like, do whatever you want to do. And being an artist, sometimes he's all over the place with what he wants to do. And it's like, you got to rein it in. We got to have a plan. We've been doing this long enough that, you know, we got to know what's in this issue and what's going to be in the next issue and where we're going with this, because that's kind of been our problem. And it's been something that we've learned over the years, is that he gets a great idea. And Pitter Patter is the perfect example of that. We were doing the all ages comic Peanut Pudding and Jelly. All ages comics are incredibly hard to sell.
Yes.
Because real comic readers think they're for kids. And, you know, it's not, it has adult humor in it. It's Looney Tunes. It's all that stuff that we grew up with, but it's that selling the person on that.
Yeah, it's the stigma.
That's so hard. And we were sitting next to someone at a convention, and they had these stupid little cat plushies. And we couldn't sell a book to save our life. And this girl was selling out of cat plushies. And I was just like, this is dumb. Like, one, we need merchandise. And two, we like cats.
And I said, well, shit, baby, I can draw us a cat book and
right,
you know, with no problem. And she looks at me deadpan and she says, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where they came from, was because we were like, we can sell cats. You know, we know cats. I've always had cats. So, and that's the other thing, that a lot of times he'll come up with an idea for a cat story, and I'm like, no, cats don't do that. That's not how cats think. Like, you got to think like a cat. Like, that's not how a cat thinks.
You really do. You really do. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times when I've had a cat, you know, it's just like, my cat is a jerk. My cat is an ass, you know, and all of those. But they're funny stories, too, that everybody can relate to, especially if you've had cats.
Right. And one of my biggest problems when I'm writing is the characters literally talk to me. So I was writing a scene 2 weeks ago, and this new character just showed up and started talking to me while I was writing down another scene. So I keep adding characters, and it keeps expanding and keeps expanding, and I can't control it because I can't. Once somebody starts talking to me, I got to get them down, and then my mind just starts going. That's how I get in trouble, going off on these tangents, because I have to get that while they're talking to me. I got to write it down because I'm not going to remember it. So that's one of my biggest problems. I can't shut this off. So,
okay. So then I'm going to be cute here. So then how do you herd the cats, right? I mean, you said that you write it down really quickly, and is it usually because you've got the story in front of you and you're like, oh, let me try and insert that? Or is it something where you're like, okay, you just hush and you sit over there and I'll get to you when I'm ready to write you? Like, what is that like?
There are a lot of scribbled notes everywhere, on Post-it notes, on the corners of pages of paper, the voice recorder on this. was my best friend for a long time.
Yes.
I just have to get it down somewhere somehow, and then so I can, when it's time to go back to that, I know where I was going and what the intention was.
Yeah. And you know what? We're just going to pop this up here. For anybody who's tuning in right now, we are talking with Rodney Fyke and Tina McElhinney from HAZZUM Productions. They've got Pitter Patter right now on Kickstarter. The links are in the show notes. Make sure that you go over there and check out the links to their social media as well. There's a link to HAZZUM Productions, the website, so you can get a sneak peek and buy. I believe you have a store there that you can buy some of the other IPs that you've got. Yeah. So, but okay. So now you've got Pitter Patter 1 and 2. Is this a story that will continue on?
Yeah. Yes. We have a direction now that we're going. We have different levels of things that are going on with different characters. And I don't want to reveal. The issue 3 is going to be full of a lot of new things. So it's the world of Pitter Patter will expand a lot in issue 3. It's gonna kind of be our issue 4 of the Avengers, first appearance of Captain America. This is going to be the first appearance of a lot of people. So
fun.
Yes, and
So,
I don't just mean I'm talking about the structure and the dynamic that exists within the house. So
we've had,
and that's all he's going to tell us.
Yes, within the house.
we've kind of had to reinvent it because that first story in issue 1, and the reason that we're adding the bonus story first is the first story is only 12 pages. Because when we wrote it, it was written as a short, and it was to bundle with Peanut Pudding and Jelly, because we were bundling the group of comics, and then we had this extra book about these cats that we threw into the bundle. So, and then everybody liked it, and everybody was like, well, when are you going to do another one? And we were like, well, we weren't. So then we were like, okay, now how do we do this? And then, so that's why we're trying to bulk up issue 1. So it's not just that little 12-page story anymore. And then it'll have this little side story that goes with it. And then issue 2 is actually the first full-length issue.
Yes.
So
the first story is what, 17 pages, and then the backup story is 6 pages. So it's 23 pages of.
What are you talking about?
Pitter Patter.
Issue 2 is 22 pages long. Oh, you're talking about because you've got
combined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what he's talking about.
23 pages total.
We're not in on this.
It's 23 pages, but it's like, okay, so he does have a little side story.
Yes, 23 pages
That's
of
right.
content. Yes.
Yes. So it's a full length issue. Yeah. Okay, sorry. That's correct, because we felt like we were making the mistake with the books that we were only doing like 17, 18 pages, but then we felt like the issues needed to be 22 to 24. So we've made a lot of mistakes. I don't know that they're really mistakes.
Like you do.
Yeah, it was like, we thought it was a good idea. And then it was like, but maybe it's not such a good idea, because if you want to keep doing this, people expect it to be what they expect it to be. And they expect a 22 to 24 page book. So, but then it was like we had issue 1. So do you do issue 2, or do you get rid of issue 1 and make that issue 0 and make this issue? It's like, how do you fix what wasn't your original intention to make it going forward, if that makes sense? So this is how we've tried to, I don't want to say fix it, but make it
Relaunch it.
Relaunch issue 1, give you a little more with issue 1, give you a full story with issue 2, and then issue 3 is going to be 22 pages complete story, plus it's going to have another backup story that goes with it that's 5 pages, right?
6 pages.
6 pages. So yeah, so like that's where we want to go with it. And now that we've figured out that, because like I said, it wasn't the intention that we were ever going to have this world, and now we've got this world, and it's like, okay, how do you make it work and get it going where it needs to go?
And this world is bluer
Yeah.
than PP&J.
Yeah, PP&J is very all ages. It's not going to be risque, but it's probably a little more PG-13.
Yeah.
Is Pitter Patter's going that direction?
And-
Just because we can market it then to adults that, you like cats, I mean, if you saw the cover that Sean Forney did, yeah, if you saw, Kitty's the BDO's girlfriend, Kitty's got some kitties, so, not, trying to find that balance of where somebody else who might not pick up that book will now pick up that book.
Right. We're going to ride the Henri train real heavy from this point forward, because people like Henri.
Yeah.
And Henri can be good, clean fun, and it expands our market a lot more than to say, oh, it's an all ages kids book, because the kids, it's like Looney Tunes. We all grew up on Looney Tunes. That is the biggest influence for me. And if you remember, when you were kids, you sat and you laughed and cackled at Looney Tunes, and your mom or your dad was standing behind you doing the same thing, because they were getting the adult jokes that we didn't get. And that's what we're trying to do with Pitter Patter.
Right. Yeah. We're trying to go that direction with it.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. I have to tell you guys, you probably missed it, but so Nita and we were vlogging, and I was pulling up one of the images for Pitter Patter, and I literally squealed. I was like, because the characters are just so adorable that I'm like, as an adult, I'm sorry, I still like cute things, and so I just fell in love with them, and I think Nita just didn't know what to do with me. She was just like, "Did you just squee?" And I was just like, "I never do." But oh my gosh, I love these characters so much. It was kind of funny. I don't do that.
I was like,
rarely.
That was the most politically incorrect thing insert here that you've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just something with the style, even with peanut pudding and jelly, where you see this style, and it's just like, it's something that throws me back into my childhood, because I grew up in like the 70s, 80s, and stuff, and I'm like seeing these styles and going, I feel like I recognize them already.
Yeah, that was me. I grew up in the child of the 70s and the early 80s. I love all that stuff. So can I officially say, from this point forward, Meredith, I made her squee.
You absolutely can, because it was just, and I still do. We're gonna pull up your campaign. I'm just gonna be, there's one especially with the butterfly, and he's in the window, and I was just like, oh my god, I need that in my life. Yeah,
that was a redraw too, because I drew that page. Yeah, I drew the page once, and we put it on the back burner for a year, and Tina's like, oh, you can do so much better than that now, redo that. So I redid it.
Yeah. Now there's some people.
Second time around.
But now there's some people who say we love to see the progression in art, right? Obviously, the more you do, whether it's writing, whether it's drawing, coloring, anything like that, the more you do it, the hopefully the better you're going to get at it, right? So when you're looking at the, like the first edition of it, and you're comparing it now, I mean, you as a creator, of course, you're going to say it's better now, right? But then you have people who really like to see what the genesis was, and follow that along and see, as more stories come out, what that progression of art is.
Right.
Do you plan on offering that, or are you like, nope, that goes in the file?
I think I myself am a huge fan of all of the in process stuff. So if I were somebody else looking at our stuff, I would say I want to see how they started. Now, when we started working on the visuals, I have pages of heads of cats, probably 3 pages of heads where I was trying to find Buddy, and 3 pages where I was trying to find dude. And I just sat down here in the basement and sat on the couch and drew cat heads for 3 hours until I found them. And then I did a group shot of them together. And it's funny because I have the original, what we were going to use as a promo piece, and I colored it. And I look at it now, and it kind of looks like them, but it's not them. So that's like version 1. So yeah, it's definitely, you can see the progression, which is cool because I've spent my entire life watching, I am a huge John Byrne fan. And if you look at his artwork in the 80s, it's not the same as it is in the 90s, as it is in the 2000s. He evolved as an artist, and I am evolving as an artist as well. I'm getting better, and I'm always practicing my cartoony stuff. So,
well, even when you pull up the Kickstarter, you'll be able to see it, because that's part of why we didn't get rid of issue 1. Did that make sense? Because you can see there's characters in issue 1. Oh, here it is. I mean, they're so different than the characters. Where are we at?
Right there.
Yeah. I mean, they're different from the characters behind us.
Sure.
So you can see the progression.
There we go.
And what he's done in just that, short amount of time. And when did we release this one?
Like 19? Was it 19?
Now this is 18.
Okay.
So this was 4 years ago. So, and then let's see if we can get it without the light. That was the original cover or that first page. And then you'll see that page that you love is so
There's
much
your
better.
squee moment.
Yeah. That was the squee moment.
That was the squee moment.
We're definitely gonna get the campaign up here. But because I think that's interesting too with the with writers, with artists especially, that progression. And it's like you get to a certain point where you're going to do more books, and your art is improving, or you're just finding this different style. Do you ever struggle with the idea of like, okay, I just want to keep the consistency so that it doesn't change? Is that hard for you?
No, because it's not hard for me. It's hard for her because it's new to her. To me, no, I welcome the evolution of the characters because I know it's unavoidable. You can't escape it. It's just the natural progression of an artist. If you go back and you look at the first 6 or 7 years of Charlie Brown, the way Charles Schultz drew him in the 50s is not the way he drew him in the 60s.
Right.
It's not the way he drew him in the 70s. He changes. Bloom County, when Burke Breathage first started doing that in the late 70s, it's nothing like it was in the late 80s. And even now, I mean, he's relaunched it now on Facebook, and they've evolved again. So I think everybody is guilty of it, and nobody can escape it because it's just the natural progression. So I don't try to avoid it. I embrace it because it means that I'm getting better, and I'm always striving to get better. So I'm jumping right in that pool.
Yeah, and I feel like I stumped on Nita a little bit. Did you have a question, Nita?
Oh, no. I was throwing up a disclaimer a minute ago.
Oh.
Like, I have nothing against people that squee. In fact, one of my favorite artists squeeze. It just freaks me out to hear Meredith squeeze.
Because I don't do it. I just don't do it. That's all. Pitter patter needs to be in your life, folks. It has to be in your life. In fact, I'm looking at it and I'm going, this would be a great story for my granddaughter, right? She's only like 6 months old, so obviously not reading. But I'm like, I don't think I want to give it to her. It's like one of those things. I might have to buy 2 issues. Oh my gosh!
Buy one for you and buy one for her. Yeah.
Right. And we are at we blew past the 30-minute mark. We're going to take a little bit of a bump here. Let me put this up here. For a 10% discount on your Gemini mailers, you guys, make sure you head over to Gemini Comic Supply and use coupon code VOLT10. That's for a 10% discount on your Gemini mailers. Make sure your comics and your books get to their destination safely, and use the coupon code. Save a little bit of money for yourself as well. We've also got Little Bastard Promos, which is a public Facebook group where you can do some shameless self-promotion. Make sure that you head over there, drop your links, and say hello to the gang. We appreciate everyone who's out there. And whether you're sharing your own links or sharing somebody else's, make sure that you hit the share button. We've got guests today talking about Pitter Patter. We're about to bring up the campaign. We've got Rodney Fyke and Tina McElhinney from HAZZUM Productions. If you are tuning in, make sure that you scroll down to the descriptions. Their links are in the show notes. We've got HAZZUM. We've got them on social media, as well as the link to their Kickstarter. Give it some love. And we are back here. Let me pull up the screen. Here we go. So we've got Pitter Patter 1 and 2. Welcome to the world of two perfect friends, Buddy and Dude, and all their furry friends. It's Garfield meets Tom and Jerry. You've got 38 backers, 20 days to go. You hit goal. You hit the first stretch goal today, I believe.
Mhm.
Yes, 1,500.
Yeah, and that was during your stream.
Yeah,
Right.
during the Friday night draw. Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about your stream.
It's Thursday night throwdown and Friday night draw. Sean
Mhm.
Forney and myself, we do it. Thursday nights we're on all of my social platforms, and then Friday nights we're on all of Sean's social platforms. And then each week we do a 30-minute sketch off where we pick a theme and we each do, like, we'll do like Batman. This week was Batman, so he did Poison Ivy and I did Man Bat. And we get 30 minutes to do it. And the sketches are available for purchase. And you can upgrade to inks for an additional fee, and you can upgrade to colors for additional fee. And once we're done with a 30-minute sketch off, then we just spend the next hour and a half or so and just talk all things nerdy. We talk about Loki and Star Wars' Bad Batch, whatever series is currently playing on Disney Plus, and
And the producers try to keep them at 30 minutes
yes,
because we would like to go. But
yes.
Now, okay, so when you do the draw off and everything, you have the art sit there. Do they have to be present during your show if they wanted to purchase that? Is it something that's on your website? Is it an auction style?
What we do is if they purchase it during the show, they get free shipping. And then we throw it up in our group afterwards, and they're available. Then we'll get people contact us after the show and say, is this still available? But the incentive is to try to get them to purchase it during the show while they're drawing to get the free shipping. So and it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've done some live sales afterwards, and then we'll put it all up and just wherever the guys get to it. Sometimes they'll pull something up the next week and ink on it so it'll get a little farther. And then, I mean, we have people buy them and take them all the way to color. So then because they do live streams in the morning, Sean's usually on at 10, and then Rodney follows him up usually at 11. And then they work on art then as well.
Yeah, that's about a half. We usually shoot for 30 minutes in the mornings.
But they get on there alone.
And
they just
this
work
is
on
it,
stuff.
guys. If you're watching it, this is the moment where it's just like, look at the butterfly in the window. Oh my gosh! And you see the worm in here, and I was just like, I love everything about this. All right, I had my moment. I did.
Somebody asked Rodney the other day why the worm had a cape on. I thought it was a flower. I didn't even realize it was a worm.
No, it's it was funny. I was drawing the bushes, and so I was doing squigglies, and I thought, you know what? Let me just put it was part of a sketch, so it was just like a frilly up there, and I was like, you know what? That looks like something. So I started working with it, and I came up with the little worm, and I'm like, oh, that'd be cute to have the worm crawling on the windowsill, looking at Dude. And then I was like, well, you know what? If I'm gonna do the worm, I have to put a cape on him. So I put a cape on him, and there it is, the Wonder Worm.
Yeah, we're kind of going through here. So again, the inspiration behind the story are pretty much the cats in your life, right?
Yeah, and dude is Sherman.
Due to Sherman.
Even though it doesn't look like Sherman, dude is Sherman. I mean,
Yeah.
Sherman is he's not afraid of anything, but he is afraid of everything. And it just dude is him 100%. He doesn't know a stranger until you move too quickly, and then he's scared to death.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know where Buddy came from. I don't know who Buddy is.
I don't either. I think Buddy's just that voice of authority that's always been in everybody's lives, asking the questions that you don't want to address because you just want to be the kid in the situation. So he's kind of the sounding board for dude.
And I wanted to ask about this. I mean, is that like an Easter egg? Is that
it's the Big Doughy One?
It's the Big Doughy One. It's it'll make sense when you read it. People have said that looks like Colonel Sanders, which it does. But when my hair's a little longer, and I just shaved this, by the way. It was really long. I was tired of picking food out of it. But yeah, that's kind of what I look like with that little longer hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of the story. Somebody goes missing, so he's on the milk carton.
Oh boy. So do you like incorporating like little things like that where I don't know, maybe like scavenger hunt things, Easter egg things, maybe maybe a tip of the hat to other people?
Yeah, if keep scrolling, let me see if something is there. You'll notice.
Oh, this is the other one where I was just like, oh my god, I need that on my wall. Because it's got bubbles too.
Oh yeah. When they are in the man cave down in the basement, pay particular attention to what's on the television screen, and it's not on every screen, but it's on a couple of shots. And
I don't think that page is up there.
I don't think it's up there, but what's in the picture frames?
So
it's just something for you to keep an eye on.
He does like the Easter eggs, and I never get them.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, why is that in there? I don't get it. And he's like, well, everyone else will get it, but you. I'm like, okay.
Right. And I love that you've kind of added some of your sketches in here. Is that what you do? You're like, just take a random piece of paper or something like that, and you're like, oh, I got to sketch out this idea.
Actually, I have hang on a second. It's right here.
We put that together. Those were the character mock-ups that he did. Yeah.
This is all things pitter patter. If you notice the tabs, all of the books. So actually, that page is right here. Let's see, I can find it. I swear I can. It's one of them. Here it is. That's Jimmy Scams and Squeaks.
And that's in the short story that Sean's doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, they're everywhere. If you could see his desk, it drives me nuts. I can't stand it. There's papers everywhere where this guy came to me and I had to get him out of my head, and like, if you noticed when I was getting ready, I was cleaning up, so there was a little corner for me that was clean because he's quite messy. So did you click play on the thing that was up there? Did you listen?
No, not yet. To this one here?
Yeah. If you want
could.
to hear something funny.
Yeah.
That is. Let me explain it before you listen to it. That is
okay.
That's the story that Sean's drawing. That is the story, and that is 100% organic. I have a part-time day job where I deliver fleet cars, so I'm all over the region. I could be 300-400 miles away from home, so I do a lot of driving. And when the ideas come to me, I grab my phone and I start talking into the phone. So this clip is me actually dictating. Like when I told you that the characters talk to me, this is proof. So go ahead and hit it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
So now is this the story where Sean's because you guys hit a milestone, you hit a stretch goal? Is that the story that he's got to write or the draw?
He's going to draw. Yeah.
Oh, fun. Okay, so here we go. I'm pretty sure I have audio here.
Well, he thought you was talking about. He thought you was talking about candy.
Candy? Candy? I don't know what kind of candy you can get to make it feel like nubbins. I think maybe lemon heads. Or sweet tarts. Oh, shockers.
Huh? What's that? What are you saying? Oh, give us a minute. He's talking here. Yeah? Really? Uh-huh. You don't say. Okay. I'll let him know. Well, Otis, today is your lucky day. Seeing as we spent all this time conversating here, standing here on a corner, and the end result isn't showing any profits being made, Squeaks has decided that he's going to let you slide because you made him laugh.
You made him laugh?
Yeah, you made him laugh.
I don't see him laughing. He doesn't appear to be laughing.
Well, just look at him. Look at that face. He's laughing. But he's laughing on the inside.
Oh, I get it. It's the magic of nubbins rubbing off on the inside.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, I don't know anything about those extra voices going on in the head here.
They come out all the time. And I'm like, "Are you talking to me?" No, I'm. No, they're talking to me. Like, okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so does that happen often, Rodney? And have you talked to anybody about that?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, I've been like Tina just said. I'm always doing that, and she'll ask if I'm talking to her or if they're talking to me, and I'll be like, shh, shh, shh. They're talking. Let me hear what they're saying. And she just walks in the other room, and shakes her head.
Yeah, and Tina, do you ever get to a point where it's like where you don't answer because you don't know that he's talking to you, and then you're like, you were talking. Oh, now you're talking to me. Okay, I got you. Rodney.
There's a lot of listen to me. Turn on your ears and listen to me. I need you to focus because sometimes the voices are a little louder than I am.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell us a little bit about some of these covers and things like that. You've got issues 1 and 2. I see Retro Cat here, which is a variant cover.
Yes.
And a couple of these other ones.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin cover is my variant cover, and it's my ode to Batman and Robin number 9 from 1942. I thought it would be cool to put the boys in the Batman and Robin costumes, and then the variant, Sean Forney's variant is Kitty with the cats, and then the other variant is from Nate Lovett, who is going to be drawing the backup story in issue 3 for us. So there's 3 variants available. And then we have the Story Cat for any stores that might be interested in buying a bunch to sell in the stores. And we have the commissions that are available. You can get a commission from me, a 6x9 color commission for $75, which is a really good price.
It is a very good price.
Yes.
And then, of course, the Spoiled Cat, where you can get all of the variant covers.
Yeah, that's the whole kit caboodle.
Yeah, we did the variant. Cool. We have a lot of collectors in the Thursday night, Friday night group that really like to collect more than just the regular ones. So that, and then Sean's there, so it was an opportunity to market to those people that were those collectors that they get their reader copy, but then they also want their variants.
Now, I'm kind of curious too, like, if you don't mind sharing, like, how many Kickstarters have you put together?
Well, we've only done the 2. We've only done Roadkill.
Okay.
We've done Pitter Patter. Producer A, Stephanie, Sean's wife, they've done 8. So she's helped me with a lot of stuff. And then I do a lot of research because I don't know anything. I mean, you and Meredith, you and I have talked before. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a paralegal. I sue people all day. You want to get divorced? I'm your girl. So this whole comic book world is like, I had never read a comic book before I met Rodney in 2009. Like, never in my entire life had ever been introduced to comic books. So everything we do, I have to learn.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I definitely, I pull from a lot of other people's stuff, and then Stephanie helps me, and, she's invaluable with stuff. So.
Right. Well, and
Yeah,
the reason why I was asking, the reason why I was asking is because, from like your first campaign to this one, and the next one I'm sure is going to be a little bit easier to put together. But what might be, just because there are people who are tuning in who might not have ever put in a campaign before, right? And so we all make mistakes coming out of the gate. None of us do it. I don't think any of us do it right the first time around. What would you say that you've kind of done differently from one campaign to the next?
Well, I love that they have the add-ons now because it let you limit. I liked that I felt like in the first campaign I had way too many options. And I liked that this time I could have fewer options for the books, and then people could add what they wanted to add. And I didn't have to come up with, oh, well, they only want this or they only want that. If I was going to say anything that I will do different next time is I probably will arrange my backer incentives a little different. I don't really know what my plan is at this point, but like I feel like I made a couple mistakes with how I did my backer incentives. I don't think so with my stretch goals, but I think to keep people interested, I think I would work on that some more. That I feel like that was my thing that I didn't do as well. I didn't do it at all last time.
Right.
This time I think I did it better, but I still think I need to tweak it more for the next one.
And moving forward, though, because you were mentioning something about the next campaign, is probably not going to be Pitter Patter, but something else. I'm like, what can you tell us? Yeah, what can you tell us about that? Let's go a little dark, because you do the dark so well.
Well, issue 2 is currently being drawn. Sean Langley is the artist that we've hired for issue 2, and he is more than halfway done with the. He's got it all penciled, and he pencils very loosely, so most of the work is done in the inking stage, and he's a little more than halfway done with the inks. So I am currently halfway through the script on issue 3. As soon as he is done with the artwork for issue 2, we'll start compiling things together and start building the Kickstarter for that. And we kind of joke with the Forneys, Sean and Stephanie, that we'll trade off Kickstarters. We'll run one, run it through, and then they'll run one, and then we'll run one, and then they'll run one. So, it's that back and forth all the time, which helps us, because they're so much more experienced at it than we are. Later in the year, expect a Roadkill Rampage issue 2 Kickstarter.
And these are all things that they can find at HAZZUM.com. Now, do you have? I see your shop there, some titles, characters, events, and things like that. As far as back issues, are they usually available on your web store?
Yeah, everything is available. I mean, we still have copies of issue 1 of Pitter Patter, the original release. Yeah, everything is available there. So you can get Roadkill. You can go there and buy Roadkill. You can buy all the titles off the website in the shop.
Nice. So when it comes to writing, is there a genre that you lean more toward?
Not particularly. Because I like to do it all. I started with the superhero stuff. I love the superhero stuff because you can kind of go in 100 different directions. But we haven't tackled that. And the whole roadkill rampage thing, that was another thing born out of my driving job. And there was a lot of going to conventions and hanging out with the fellas and everybody. Oh, well, that's the kid book guy, you know.
Oh,
And, I was like, well, I do more than just the kiddie stuff. I've got a lot more to offer than that. So I wanted to show what I can do with the adult stuff, and I think I did. I think I showed it. I think I did a pretty good job because everybody that's read issue 1, they're like, "Wow, you wrote this? This is really good. Wasn't expecting this." So
right.
It's taken us a long time to get there because of having the finances to hire another artist that can draw that type of book.
Yeah.
So I mean, Pitter Patter or like Peanut Pudding and Jelly was, what can you draw? Because we can't hire an artist. Then we hired an artist to do Unchained, and then we ran out of money again, and Unchained sat for a long time, and then we made mistakes there, and people told us things. So we revamped Unchained and tried to fix some of the problems with it, and re-released that last year with Roadkill. But that's just a one shot. We're not going to do anything more with that. And then now we're getting to the point where we make enough money off of Pitter Patter and now doing the Kickstarters that, we can afford to pay somebody else to draw so he can do his other stories. So, but he still gets to do Pitter Patter, Pitter Patter, which he can draw himself.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's something that people struggle with. I mean, anybody who can write the story and draw it out. I mean, it's just, as far as a budget, you're heads and tails ahead of a lot of other people, right? Because, as a writer, trying to find the artist. And I want to hear about, because we're almost at the hour though, so we might go just a little bit over, because how did you find the artist, being that you are one, kind of knowing, I guess, your lane? That might be the wrong way of saying it, but saying, well, I have this story, and looking for a specific styling that that you're not going to do, at least maybe not well, or what you envision in your head. How did you go about finding somebody who could take your words and bring life to it?
I want to answer it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he had the idea for Roadkill, and we had a friend that we were talking to about it, and he didn't have time to work on it. And so they had talked about it, and it was kind of like in the development stages. It hadn't been written completely out. And then on the website, there's an Arcana Vaquero. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Amon Hill, who was the artist that did the first issue. We met him, and we were talking to him, and we really liked what he did with that book. And we were like, hey, would you be interested in drawing another book? And he said yes at the time. And that was how we got to issue 1. So, and that was a marrying of, we met them at a local meetup that we were going to in Cincinnati. He was another local artist. Him and his wife came, and that was how we met him. And then COVID came, and he decided that his priorities changed in life. So then we were looking again and trying to find somebody that we felt got the story.
Yeah, complimented
and complimented where we were with Amon and what he had done, and then was able to get out what Rodney wanted the book to look like. And I feel like Sean Langley's really done that.
Yeah. He's captured, because the stories are so vivid in my head. I thumbnail out all of my stories, and when I'm working with another artist, I will supply them with that, but I will tell them these are suggestions, because Amon had the knack of he did what I wanted, but then he also found those little golden nuggets that I had completely missed, and he added that to it, made it so much better. And I I like to give the artists the freedom to spread their wings, and I told Sean the same thing. I said, hey, this is a guide. It's not a roadmap. So feel free to, if you change the camera angle or this or that or the other, but there are specific things. There's 2 or 3 spots where I want this camera angle. I want this worm's eye view or bird's eye view. I want the harsh perspective here. I want the shadows coming in from this direction. I've got reasons for everything. And we go over that extensively before they ever start drawing. And then after that, they're free, as long as that couple of spots in the story stick to what I want. They're free to do whatever, and it's worked out great so far.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And we are at our hour. What I want to do is, if it's okay with you, to play your Pitter Patter Kickstarter video.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of say our goodbyes. Here we go, you guys. Again, for anybody who's tuning in, hit the subscribe button. Head over to Kickstarter. The link is in the show notes. Go ahead and click that. Back this. If you already did, share it out with your network. Do it often. It only takes a little bit of effort. Just click the button. Here we go. Let's play Pitter Patter here.
Hi, I'm Buddy. And I'm Dude. And I'm Rodney. Excuse me. And I'm Rodney, the creator, artist, and writer. And welcome to the world of Pitter Patter.
Scribbling the adventures of these 2 sometimes lovable cats, I'm very excited to not only be offering issue 1, but issue 2 as well. That's right, the first 2 issues of Pitter Patter are available through our Kickstarter for your enjoyment. The books center around our 2 harebrained cats, Buddy and Dude, cats from different sides of the tracks, and how they traverse the choppy waters that are their lives around the house, yard, and other dark and dangerous places beyond the door. But wait, that's not all. If you act now, you can get your grubby little paws on all of the shiny, pretty things we have to offer. The goods are aplenty: pins, variant covers, stickers, trading cards, and more. Simply scroll down below and check out all the rewards, add-ons, and stretch goals. If you have a cat, love a cat, know a cat, or even hate cats, these books are going to be right up your alley. So come on, follow along and enjoy the ride. And thank you all for checking out the world of Pitter Patter and for supporting our Kickstarter. For Buddy and Dude, this is Rodney Fyke saying, so long, everybody.
There we go. And I wanted to know, like really quickly, like the quick story, if you could, about HAZZUM Productions. Where did that come from?
The name?
Yeah, HAZZUM, and just like putting it together, saying, yeah, let's do this thing.
Well, the name comes from, I have an older brother that's mentally disabled. So all growing up, and even now, he used to say, don't have a HAZZUM, which is his way of just saying, just chill. So when we were trying to come up with a name, I was like, I got it. It's got to be HAZZUM. And it's endearing. And when we tell people that story, they're like, oh, that's cool. So it's something that's special to your heart, and it means something. And it's have a good time and enjoy, and sit down and enjoy these comics. Have a HAZZUM. So that's what that means. And then
how did HAZZUM come about? Out of necessity. It just was, we wanted to publish our own books, and in 2009 that was what it was like. Well, how do we do this? Well, we make a company, and it's a long story that we can't go on to in public how it all started, but let's say we shouldn't. And then, it was out of necessity, just given situations in our lives. And it was like, how can Rodney make comics? How can, like I said, I work in the legal field. So it's like, how do we do this? How do we make this so we can get this out there and do this and create a company that we can produce our comic books under. So
I would say that's the shit or get off the pot moment.
yeah,
You
pretty
know?
much.
Just
Yeah.
yeah. Very cool.
I've always wanted to not necessarily work for the big two, but I've always wanted to be able to tell my stories. So what better way to do that than to form our own company?
I think that's awesome. It just it kind of speaks to your longevity, the stick-to-itiveness to it. I mean, it's not anybody who's doing this knows that it's not easy. You get a
Right.
consumer who opens it up and they think, oh, it's easy because it's just got pictures and words. It's easy, but it's really not. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. And you've been, like you were saying, Rodney, that you've been kind of doing bits and pieces of it since like the 90s and stuff, and then kind of now developing your own IPs, your brand, your styling, and everything. What would be probably like the best piece of advice for anybody new coming into the business of comics? What would you tell them?
I would say this is totally from a creative's perspective, because Tina's perspective is going to be from the business end, which is appropriate. My advice would be to follow your heart and do what you love, and don't let anybody tell you what you're doing is wrong, because if you believe in it and you have the stick-to-itiveness and the tenacity to see your vision through, it's not wrong, because there's no right or wrong way to do comics. There's no set page count. There's no set format. There's no set anything. There's stories told through pictures and words. So follow your passion, and don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, because I never subscribed to that. Even as a 22-year-old kid going to New York City and meeting my compatriots that were on the other side of the table, and it just blew me away that we were all the same age. What made them different than why am I on this side of the table and why are they on that side? Well, because they did it. So we got back home from New York, and I was like, okay, we're going to do it. Let's get to it. And I've been that way ever since. And
to Tina, when you're kind of not in the industry, you said that comic books was new to you. So this must have been like really foreign. It really speaks to being a foundation for him to go on this creative journey. And not only that, but help guide him as far, because there is the business side of comics. And, with your experience, especially with the legal, stuff that you do. She said something about divorces and stuff like that. Let's keep it to comics and everything. But I mean that business mind that you have, it helps keep things on track. I kind of want to know, for both of you, was there a time when you were like, oh man, what the hell am I doing? Or what the hell are you doing?
On Wednesday. It was on Wednesday. It happens like about once a month, but I'm like, I can't, this is just stupid. Like I'm talking to all these artists and their brains don't freaking work. Like, I'm like, I got stuff to do. Y'all need to get your stuff together. Cause
get your shit together.
Get your shit together.
Yes,
together. I'm doing what I'm doing, and y'all are holding me up because y'all are doing whatever it is you're doing, and I don't have time for this. I'm suing people.
And I guess the reason why I
claimed her, Meredith. She's mine.
And I guess the reason why like divorce came into my head is because there could be a lot of fights that happen with this dynamic, with working together and just going, that's not easy either.
No. But it's funny because I spent 9 years in retail before I went into legal, So
Mhm.
I have all of that merchandising and, you know, selling. And I mean, so I can pull from all of that stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
when I worked retail, I worked in sporting goods, I worked in electronics, I worked in clothing. You know, it's still
It's
selling something.
Yeah.
So now I'm selling a comic book. So it was like,
Mhm.
you know, and I always, there is no writer's block here, in case you know that. Everybody talks about writer's block. Well, when you work for attorneys, you write things all day and you don't get to say to an attorney, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have writer's block." Because they'll
Mhm.
throw something at you. And so when he's like, "Well, I couldn't write anything today," I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, suck
Like,
it
I
up,
don't get it.
Buttercup.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, what do you want to write? I'll type you up a rough draft and you can change it. Like, I don't get it.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so it's he's picked on a lot because I don't, you know, those artists that, yeah, well, I couldn't draw today. Well,
Mm.
Are your hands broken? Did
yeah,
someone chop them off?
yeah. Where
No.
would you like me to stick your pencil? Like, it's like,
Clench
I
and
don't,
pinch.
yeah,
That's what I do.
I don't come from that world. Like, it's like,
Mhm.
it's here. I need this. Get this done 2 days ago. Oh, okay. Like, so it's,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a struggle for me to not to not choking sometimes.
That's awesome. See, the struggle is real, folks. The struggle is real. But we blew past our hour, and we do need to get out of here. But we appreciate you guys for joining us here on Rage. And Rodney and Tina, really, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Pitter patter made me squee. That never happens, and so. If it made me squee, it will definitely make you squee. Make sure that you go over there and back the campaign, share it out with your friends. And again, we appreciate you all for tuning in. This is episode 29 with Rodney Fyke and Tina McElhinney, HAZZUM Productions, Pitter Patter on Kickstarter. They have got 20 days to go, 38 backers. Let's give them a boost, you guys. And we will talk to you very soon. Rodney and Tina, thank you for being here. Hey, Nita. Nita.
Go.
Yeah. Final words.
Throw my dudes.
All right. We're out of here, you guys. Thank you for tuning in.